What is up, y'all? Welcome back to the channel. It's time for episode 23 of Guardians franchise, and we are here at the beginning of the offseason. It is literally that day that you hit that says offseason starts, and just had our season score up. I think it was 756. Actually doing a second take here on the intro. So I had it up originally, and then I pressed enter, and then I biffed something, so I had to restart. We have a worker on strike right now. The dog cam is up, but it's empty, but she's literally right here. And both doors are closed. There's two doors to this office here, so she can't get out of either of them. So we're hoping that she'll eventually make it into her bed. I just heard her go down the ramp. Let's see if she appears on cam. I could turn my head and see where she's at, but I want to see her just emerge onto the camera. No, she's trying to escape. I can hear her. Anyway, we're going to go through this together. We've got a lot of different decisions. I can already see that we have some bad news coming. We have some staff members retiring. That's not great. Our contract was extended. That's positive. Then we have some personnel leaving. Oh boy. Okay, we've got some things happening here. We got a new budget, of course. Bieber failed to meet his vesting. Cool. No, we knew that. Some option years. So we've got a lot to get into. So last couple of seasons, I think I've done, I do like a portion and then come on, tell you what I've done and maybe do some online here. But we're going to do this together, at least the front end, and kind of map out what we want to do this off season. So first, let's just jump into the emails, of course, and start sorting through some things. Hayden Blogs. Okay. This is going to be an easy yes. I don't even really have to put any sort of like, should we do? No. It's 15 mil for a guy who just hit 35 bombs or 34 bombs. Hayden Blogs. Yes, guaranteed. He's going to be 34, sure. It could even bust. There are no guarantees, even after a good year like this. We've seen international guys, flop after a great rookie year. I've had guys evaporate. I mean, they've had way better years than this. Like, this is a solid hitting season. He's a nice power guy who's kind of in that 5 to 7 batting range, depending, and, hits for the big power. That's nice. I've had 5-6 war guys that were like center fielders that could hit and do things, and then they fall apart completely and they never do anything again. So again, that's in the cards here for a guy that wasn't even quite that good, but we're keeping him. That's just all there is to it. Give us Hayden Blogs. Okay, Reynaldo Lopez now has an option year for 8 mil. Again, I don't think there's any way we get away from this. Even coming off the dreadful year, he went into the bullpen and was better, but still not good, right? We're not going to just gloss over that in terms of the results there. 4.94 ERA, 134 whip after a 6.28, 167 in the rotation. But look at the FIP for both, or just go right to the strikeout to walk ratio if you're not a big FIP person or whatever, right? Because, they're both trying to get to the heart of the core of their skills. FIP's just putting it on the ERA scale, whereas strikeout minus walk rate is, just a simple calculation, but it gives you a lot of information. It was 28% for Raylo when he was starting. He should have been doing better, but he was giving up too many homers and too many hits. So when I say should have, I don't even mean in this case that he was like painfully unlucky, although you look at a 484 BABIP, and that is so unbelievably high, even for somebody who's pitching poorly, that I think we can confidently say that he was unlucky. But I am always also very clear not to just use that like BABIP as an excuse, or even home run rate, because home run rates can be unsustainably unlucky. And you can use that as the excuse, quote unquote, of why a guy has sucked. Okay, he's giving up homers at a 35% fly ball clip. So if 35% of his fly balls are going for homers, that would be an exorbitant rate that you don't think would keep up. And it probably won't. At the same time, what I think sometimes happens with these stats arguments is that people use that as like a shield to say like, oh, he didn't deserve any of that. No. What it is that he probably did deserve some of that. He's probably pitching some of his worst baseball. It is unlikely that he will continue to pitch that poorly for either a multitude of potential reasons. One, he's simply just not that bad and he'll get better. Two, if he keeps pitching that poorly, he's going to be out of the rotation anyway. 3, he might be injured, which could be affecting his play, and then you get into something else there, So there's different reasons for things. I am just always careful not to use BABIP or homer to fly ball rate and things like that as, you know, a blind weapon of saying, oh, that guy was unlucky. Anyway, tangent aside, Raylo was a bit unlucky, was pitching poorly. I think both were happening, and he was really feeling the brunt of his mistakes and maybe not getting the goodness from the quality pitches that he was throwing. Bottom line here, again, probably too much lead up for a guy that we're not going to have a tough decision on. $8 million for the team option. Now, it says Atlanta Braves paying 65%. I think that was of the 2026 $11 million. I'm wondering if they're going to be on the hook for the 65% of the team option. I would not think so. I don't think they should be, personally. But even if they aren't, even if we're paying all $8 million, you guys know how I feel about these one-year deals that are like $12 million and lower. They cannot hurt you. Even if the guy is the worst player in baseball, you cut him, you eat the 10, 12 mil, who cares? In this case, it's 8 mil. It just won't kill you. Even a team like the A's can't get beat up by 1 year, $8 million deals. Bieber did not meet. Contract voided, becomes a free agent. We're okay with that, right? Because right now, he is in a rough position. 3 months left on his torn labrum. We don't know what he's going to look like when he comes back. Only had the 7 starts last year, 3 others in the minors there because he had a previous injury. It was a double injury season. He comes right back and immediately busts again. He is still only 31. I thought when I looked into the upper left there where the age is, I literally thought I was about to see something 33, 34. I actually overrated his age there. That said, I don't envision bringing him back. Well, first off, it looks like we have no money. We'll see how that dust settles when everything gets situated with arbitration and whatnot. 3 years, 17 mil with the last year being a player option. Okay, forget that. If it was a team option, this isn't impossible, but it's also not where we need to spend money. And if we are limited on money here, then would not be where we're going to spend. So I love Biebs, big fan of his in real life. You know, he was a big reason why I did this sim. To kind of reset since he had gotten hurt in real life, reset, bring him back, hopefully have him pop off for us. And, you know, injuries crept up again because that's what happens to pitchers. They get hurt. It's just kind of the simple fact. And I have a sneaking suspicion that when you're just looking at the injuries that he's gone through in our sim, let alone the wear that he brings into this universe, he might be coming back wrecked. So I think we're just done with Bieber. Outside of maybe January, February, he's still a free agent. The price is down to like 11 mil, and we take a look. Something like that, maybe. Sonny Gray option here. Okay, so we brought in Sonny Gray from St. Louis. He was pitching really well for them. Interestingly enough, his FIP was saying, okay, maybe he was probably, you know, getting the best of what he was able to do and maybe running a little bit lucky there at times. 251 BABIP. Part of that is probably the park in St. Louis, so where he's playing half of his games, the defense, and sometimes, again, just blind luck. But also pitching well can help that. Either way, if that regresses, you could expect the ERA to maybe regress a bit unless he improves his strikeout to walk ratio, which he did a little bit with us. But if you take away the decimals here and you just round, which I do because I don't think the decimals are that precise, it's 12% versus 13%. 11.6 to 13.4, you can start to stretch and like, oh, it's a 2-point difference kind of. No. In the end, it's about a point difference. It was better, but not better enough because the BABIP went up 60 points to 311. So it wasn't going to protect him, and he was just mediocre for us. That said, let's take a look at this and see if there is any interest in keeping him around. Now, he is 37 years old, just turned 37 a couple days ago. Happy birthday, Sonny Gray, in our universe here. 65 homers, 60 control is nice, but it comes with a 45 BABIP. Do we have the defense to take care of him? The numbers say maybe, yeah. I mean, he's a ground ball guy too, right? Yeah, ground ball pitcher. So a lot of contact. You know, we've got J-Ram over at third. We got Royce at second right now. And Rocchio at short. Not a bad infield defense. Jimenez obviously plays too. Why is he out of the lineup right now? What's going on here? I don't recall why that decision was made, but whatever, that was probably something playoff related. Maybe he was nursing an injury. But I don't know. I don't know why he would be out of the right-handed lineup. Whatever, it doesn't matter. Gray, 30 mil. I don't think so at 30 mil. We don't have that kind of money. Again, we don't really know what kind of money we have yet, but I don't think we got that kind of money. And I'm pretty sure that when we traded for him, it was under the notion that it was a rental, that there was almost nothing he could do to get us to keep him at that price. I believe that was kind of the conversation that we had there. We can get some money back by taking out some of the draft budget, by the way. I might have to do that. Ooh, does that mean that I can finally change next year's draft? I haven't wanted to mess with it since it's been, okay, it's still saying the 2026 one. I know it's irrational. I've mentioned it a million times where I'm like, it doesn't even necessarily make sense, but I just don't want to change anything that still says 2026. When it flips to 2027, then I will pop it down to 20 rounds. It should do that at some point, probably when the calendar turns to 2027. That'd be my guess. All right, so our new budget is $248 million with a 190 team payroll. Now, what was it last year? I'm bad at knowing that and then referencing it. Like, what was it the previous year? Now with what we're doing, so like, what's changing? Okay, so it was 158. 177 it says down here, and it says 158 over here. I don't know what the discrepancy is, but let's go with the higher one. Either way, that should be like a $20 million boost. How come it says we have $341,000? Right? If this, or $15 million boost. If this says 190 here, I don't know. You may set your ticket prices. You got winter meetings. Season tickets will start selling at that point. Okay. I think we should raise ticket prices a little bit. We're a quality team. We continue to compete. We're not trying to gouge our fans, but we're going to go up a bit. We're going to go up to $35, less than a full dollar raise. I think that's all right. I certainly wouldn't be against some add-on components to where you can really get in to the nitty-gritty of your finances and your tickets. That's a bit of a different game, right? Like, I know Baseball Mogul had some stuff like that back in the day. I've played them all in my day. Or I think you could have a little bit more, on the merchandise and the food and all of that. And that's not for everybody. But I would be at least interested in it as a potential component, something that you can turn on, turn off the way you can some of the other things in this game. That'd be kind of neat. Because I'd like to be the kind of team, if I ever did run a squad. Now, in this case, GMs don't really set ticket prices as far as I know. But, we get to do kind of some of the ownership level things. But if I were thinking about it, I would want to be a team that, like, we have some luxury seating, that people that want to spend money and really get the white glove experience, as it's called, butlers wearing white gloves or whatever, it's cool. We will let them have that, but also mega affordable for other people. Like, you gotta have the range. You really, really gotta have the range as far as I'm concerned. It can't be straining everyone's budget to get in the gate and get a little bite to eat or something, right? And I understand it's businesses, they gotta make money, all that, this, that, and the other. Yes, I do get it. But let's not make it impossible to go either. And I think some teams have been good at that, right? There are packages out there that are a lot more family friendly and affordable for ball clubs so that you can take your family out for a night. I got a girlfriend and 2 dogs. We occasionally all go to the ballpark, believe it or not. There is Bark at the Park at the Round Rec Express, but generally it's just the 2 of us. It's easier to spend, what a family might, because it is just the 2 of us, so we can have the elevated experience at the same cost that a family of 4 might. But I know that in some markets, a family, unless they're like upper middle class, they're struggling to do anything to go to the ballpark, and it's ridiculous. So anyway, that's an unnecessary tangent, and we'll see if Kev keeps it in. Who knows? Anyway, moving on. One of the things about doing it live, I'll write it and we'll do it. I never tire of that meme. If you watch my Twitch streams, I reference it all the time. It's a meme that just keeps on giving for me. But one of the things with that is it will require Kev's work a bit more. He will have his hands a little bit more full with this episode, as opposed to me having my checklist of things that I need to go. We are without the guardrails right now, folks. All right, so let's see what these season goals look like. All right, so he says, team record, I secretly hope that you make the playoffs, but I certainly did not expect it this year. Congrats on a great season. Okay, cool, but I mean, were you paying attention, right? Imagine if I were a GM with an owner, though, and I just went in just with the snarkiest answers ever. Oh, did you miss last year when we won 94 games? Yeah, and you didn't think we'd make it this year? Okay, cool, but I guess I'll take credit for it. No, this would actually be a dumb one to get snarky about because, yeah, you're getting credit for something that, honestly, we came into the season thinking playoffs at a minimum. Not making the playoffs would have been a bad season because we won 94 games last year. Anyway, bringing upgrade a position. Yep, wanted us to upgrade center field. Bringing in Lonnie White Jr. has definitely solidified our center field, even if he's not quite the top 6 player I had hoped for. So we are getting green on this. I would imagine that you can get blue. Everything seems to be the red to blue scale. So like if we got the best, if we got J-Rod, and I don't know how good he is in this world. Obviously, he's having some struggles in our real life right now, but I'm not too worried about him. Yeah, I think he would qualify. So I think if we got J-Rod, we probably would have gotten like a blue. But we weren't trying to, go for that big of a fish. Sometimes when you have the upgrade at a particular position, sometimes it's a fundamental disagreement with how you view the position versus the owner. And so sometimes I don't even do it. This one happened to be where we were in alignment that I did want to get a better center fielder. And so we landed on Lonnie White, and that was great. But sometimes I fail those because I'm like, we don't need a new third baseman, you idiot. So stop telling me what to do. He does want us to find an MVP. This is another one where it's like, I mean, and the reason I say, can I be snarky to him in this fictional universe where I don't actually have this job or whatever, is because they're snarky to us. Did you not understand what I asked of you? He says. Yeah, I did. You said go out and get an MVP and you give me 80 cents to do it, idiot. And then he shoves me in a locker. No, but seriously, if we can find somebody that kind of fits that, but we also are getting somebody we want, we'll do that. But I'm not going to go out just to check this box. This is one, at least historically, previous to this year. It looks like it's even off the table now. I think we're good. Okay, cool. Never mind. I was going to say, if the bringing an MVP was still on there, I was going to mention that, like, historically, and I guess historically would only mean last year because these are only 2 years old. But I would ignore those, again, if they didn't fit what we were actually going for. And it never really cost me, right? If everything else is kind of in order, I think you can fail a goal or two and it won't ruin you. Because as you see, we did in fact get extended. Only 2-year deal though. Okay. Only 2 feels a little light. I feel like I've earned a little bit more than that, but okay, I'm not lame duck. That's fine. Columbus Clipper, Randy Vasquez retiring. Randy Vasquez retiring at 28. While still competent. I thought this was getting patched up a bit, where guys like this retiring, because like I don't know that he should be. I might unretire him. Right? Like, what did he do last year? Okay, he wasn't great. He was like league average. He had a 97 ERA plus, so he's like 3% below league average. I don't know. He's not a stud. I'm not doing it because, like, oh, we have to keep Randy Vasquez. I just don't really. Here's the thing. If this was a one-off, okay, we make up a storyline. Hey, he's, started a family. Just really wants to focus on family. Baseball is just not where his passion is anymore. Cool, we can write it off. Wants to go become a priest, like a prospect for Oakland named Grant Desmey. I remember seeing him at my first Arizona Fall League I ever went to. I watched Desmey pop off, by the way. He was like my favorite player from the Fall League. Him and Chris Heisey were the 2 guys where I was like, those are my dudes. And I think either within that year or within like 2 seasons at a maximum, he left to become a priest. He was just, like an interesting hitting prospect. Definitely, I think he was making top 100s, or at least, the top 10 of Oakland's system, and just said, Nah, my calling is as a priest, so, I can respect that. But this year's game has seemed to have a bunch of these. So I'm going to do it. I'm going to unretire him because I don't think, and you know what? You don't even have to come back to us. Actually, you know what? I'm going to take him back. I'm doing it, y'all. I'm taking him back. Because give me a break. We should not be losing him for that. And I just don't think that we need to be losing him. Watch him develop and become like an ace. And like, you cheated yourself an ace. No, but I'm unretiring him. This is just not retirement worthy to me. And I'm not doing it with every single one. I am just kind of picking and choosing this one. I guess because it's only one player and it stands out. And I'm like, this is actually a decent profile. This guy can come up and eat some major league innings. I don't really accept that he would retire. And if it was, again, if it wasn't a problem of this year's game, I would have left it alone. But it is. Okay, now here comes the big things, y'all. And this isn't good. We got 3 guys like this. We have 2 staff members retiring and one of our personnel leaving. If any of these is the scout, I'm going to be so upset because it sucks losing your scout in the offseason. So let's see what happens. Okay, bench coach Joe Madden retires. Hey, have a good retirement. You had a hell of a career. I know it got a little sour there at the end with Chicago, or with with the Angels. All in all, though, great career. Next staff member, Ryan Sandberg, third base coach. Okay, Rhino, hey, run off into the sunset yourself. Hall of Fame playing career, solid coaching and managing career. Actually, I don't remember how good he was as a manager, and I'm not going to look it up. Personnel leaving. Trainer Manny Oral. Oh, I should have known that because we were looking at replacing him anyway. Never mind. Whew, crisis averted. So, as you can tell by seeing that message, I did wait. I had briefly mentioned possibly getting the jump on that move, but I didn't do it. So now we come back, and how come there are so few? How come none joined the party here? I would have thought that now that we were in the offseason, I mean, this is the same group of guys that we looked at, which, hey, partially that's great because that means that those guys didn't get snapped up. But the downside is, like, how come no more came into the pool? Should I go like one more day to see? Or do I risk some of these guys getting signed? I don't know. Let's go through the rest of the emails. Let's see what else is going on here, and then we'll start to address that. Top prospects. Already covered that in the last episode. If you watch that, I made that to be a standalone episode. I'll try to do that at least once every 2 seasons, if not once every season. Let me know what you guys think of it. I covered the draft and then got into a bunch of our prospects. Again, it's meant to be a standalone so that if you fall behind a little bit, you can skip it and go back to it whenever you want. The game did not progress a single day. It was just about prospects. And then there's some folks that aren't really as concerned about prospects. It's like, hey, talk to us when they come up to the majors or when they're at AAA. And I get that too, right? Some people are like that in real life. Some people are like that when they're watching The Sims. Don't tell me about the 17-year-old who's 7 years away. Well, maybe not 7 years. 24 is not that bad, but you get it. Contact me in 5 years when he's 22 at AAA, ready to make the majors. And as I did talk about in that episode, this year's game, and I think even last year's, if I recall correctly, which I thought they fixed it in season, but it seems like it is overrating the babies a bit again this year. You see Braden Montgomery there at number 3 overall, 23 years old. Okay, that's great. But then everyone else in the top 10 is a teenager. Except for Kevin Winder. So you have 2 of the top 10 being 19 and younger. That's just not that realistic. Because those prospects are so unknown that your Eric Longenhagens, your Keith Laws, your MLB.com pipelines, your baseball prospectuses, et cetera, your Baseball Americas, they're not going to confidently rank guys that high very often. 8 of the top 10 are not going to be children in most ranking systems because they're not going to have that much confidence in them. It's really more that 20 to 22 wheelhouse for the top tier because they're almost ready to go to the majors, 20 to 23 even. In fact, let's look right now at Pipeline and let's see what the what the top guys look like, even with some graduations too, of course. But you got Jackson Holliday, 20. James Wood still on there, even though he is in the majors right now, 21. Junior Caminero, 21. Dylan Cruz, 22. Walker Jenkins and Ethan Salas, 19 and 18 respectively. So there's 2 teenagers. But then you got 3 straight 21-year-olds. Marcelo Meyer, Jordan Lawler, Carson Williams, and then 19-year-old Max Clark. So 3 out of the top 10 on MLB's page right now are teenagers, as opposed to 2 not being teenagers. So again, it's just a little bit rare. For me, it doesn't like ruin the game. It's not the end of the world. It's just a bit annoying. Oh my goodness. Soto and Judge go back to back on Grayson Rodriguez. He is getting bombed out a bit by the Yankees. You know, the Yankees have not been playing as well lately, but they're finding some mojo here. That's the thing too. They can always just get you, right? Like, they weren't going to keep winning at a 700 clip, 70% win clip. So they had a little lull there where, yeah, they're basically the worst team in baseball for a month, but they still terrify me with any of my fantasy pitchers that I have. I'm not saying that you should have benched Grayson Rodriguez. He's somebody who stays in the lineup no matter what. But anytime you have a fantasy starter going against the Yankees, you should be a little bit scared. If you're not, then check your pulse, because you're kind of crazy, because that team is insane. Anyway, we do not have any top 10. It is weird for me to say that because I instantly noticed Charlotte Dachshunds, which is my perfect team name. And I'm like, I'm trained to see that name and think, ooh, that's a positive for me because that's my perfect team. But no, in this universe, that's our little devil spawn here, who, y'all, I know y'all probably think I overdo it and make it up. And, oh, she's not that purposeful with her decisions. I swear to you, she's trolling me right now being right here on this blanket. It's a perfectly comfortable blanket. She does lay here at times, but there is no reason for her to not be in that damn bed except that she knows that I want her to be. And if you know anything about dachshunds, you know that their favorite thing to do is whatever you don't want them to do. Or better stated, I guess, would be their favorite thing to do is the opposite of what you want them to do. Because I don't not want her to lay on this blanket. I just want her to lay in that damn bed so she's on the camera so you guys can see her. She had to go to the vet yesterday. She got a little vaccine that she had a little negative reaction to, threw up a little bit, so she's all right. But, a little bit of a tough day yesterday. And we always make jokes about how she hates the vet. And, it just kind of started because, like, Henry loves going to the vet. He loves going in the car. He wants to go anywhere. But Char's like, no, everyone stay home. We're all homebodies. Don't anybody leave anywhere. Don't anybody close any doors. I'm in charge of everything. So we make jokes about how she's, like, always nervous to go to the vet. Well, this time she actually might have had reason because she came home feeling kind of sick, and they prescribed her another thing to kind of help with the seizures because they think that maybe they're a little too close together it's kind of a 6 to 8 week window between them, and sometimes as little as a month. And the doctor was saying she wants them to be at like a 2 to 3 month interval. So she got this like little liquid that she has to take. And unlike the pills that she has no problem with, apparently this is the nastiest flavored thing in the world. And she's not happy. So I think she is boycotting the stream. And frankly, I think it's fair. She has a right to be pissed right now. All right, so the development facilities are open. And we got to get into that. I'm excited to do that here. Quote unquote live. Obviously it's a recorded video, but you know what I mean? Not just present it to you, kind of talk y'all through my process here, because actually I don't really know how we're going to attack this. Kind of want to take a quick step back real quick. First things first, I don't think we did a proper run of the season. So let's do that for every player real quick. And by real quick, I mean, 400 minutes, because I'm going to talk for 20 minutes about everybody. No, I'll try to actually be brief. Behind the dish, we had Bailey and Naylor, and they had a pretty good season combined. Our catching combo was excellent. They total about 4 WAR. Now, 3.5 of that did come from Bailey. Naylor was hitting a little bit early on, smoothed out, ended up not being great after all, but did still hit 16 bombs, right? There's still impact there. Over the course of a full season, you hit 16 bombs, there's going to be some positive impact. So he hasn't panned out the way we would hope for Bo Naylor, but it hasn't been all lost. That said, Patrick Bailey has been a bit of a steal. in this sim so far. Remember, he came with Zach Eflin in that big deal that we did with the Giants, where we gave them Angel Martinez, Joe Boyle, Jake Fox, and Angel Genoa. And Angel Martinez was kind of the prize of the deal. He went over there and put up 1.2 WAR in 109 games. Still a 24-year-old who can really play the middle infield and has an okay bat. I will say that bat is tailored nicely for San Francisco, being a gap contact bat. There's some real nice alleys there for him to hit doubles and triples into. So I think he can be a capable player for them. That was definitely the prize on their end. Boyle, just a live arm. Same reason that we took a shot on him. They did. He only threw 6 innings for them in the majors. The rest was in the minors, where he was okay-ish. But again, struggled with walks to a massive degree. And I just kind of came to the realization that, he's not going to change. That's always going to be part of his game, and it's always going to make him super, super volatile. And then Jake Fox was also a decent piece. No power to speak of, but a huge eye and gap power. But he's no longer with them. He's now in Philly, where he came up for 71 plate appearances and didn't really do anything. Nothing to speak of there, but that was still a pretty decent piece for San Francisco in that trade. I just didn't want him because, A, no power. That's just going to be tough profile to really succeed, especially if you don't bring defensive value, which he doesn't, and dog shit personality. He's a loyal guy, which I appreciate, but he's a low leader, adaptability, work ethic, and intelligence. So it was looking like it was going to be a tough fit. So catcher went well. First base, Hayden Boggs, who we just picked up his option. Again, debut season with us, 33 years old, 115 WRC plus, about 2 WAR with 34 bombs. So, these kind of power only guys, and I say only, he could have held third if we needed him to. But we have J-Ram, so we didn't need him to. So he's first base DH type. You're not going to put together huge WAR seasons unless you're also walking, 12% of the time, putting up high 300s OBP with all that power. So I'm not going to judge him too sternly on 2 WAR. He delivered the power that we wanted. That was specifically why we got him. He came through. I'll do the backups after. Royce Lewis, who we did pick up in a midseason trade, there was a good comment, and I will be mindful of this going into next year that, this is not going to be a good deal for us if he's a short side platoon guy only. And I might have referenced that in another video. I forget which video the comment was left on and whether or not I mentioned it on a subsequent video, but I thought that was well said there. He needs to be starting somewhere or that deal is a flop. Because I did kind of trade for a favorite. I'm a huge Royce Lewis guy. Traded Cleo Watson, who is definitely, younger, has some real upside, went over there and really unlocked a bit with them. Played 82 games, put up a 121 WRC plus, 1.6 WAR. There is real potential for this to blow up in our face. And I knew that going in. I was very, very clear, hey, we might be giving the better overall player, but we're trying to get a guy who we think can help us a bit more now, and he's one of my favorites. And so we did it. And he's a captain. He brings that aspect to it too. Better defender than Watson, at least in terms of the range, which I'm always going to favor the most. He didn't quite come over and cook with us, though. So Royce brings a 91 WRC plus and a minus 0.1 WAR. Rough. It was rough, okay? But we're not going to judge him off 59 games. That's fine. We still have him. He's not going anywhere. He's with us for a while. He's expensive-ish, but don't forget, they're paying half of it almost, 45%. It's not going to kill us, even if he kind of meanders a little bit. But there's still a lot to work with here. It's a great speed profile. There's real defense. There's a solid bat. We're still on the Royce train. Don't freak out, y'all. J-Ram wasn't quite peak J-Ram, but he is also 34, so he doesn't necessarily have to be. I guess this was his age 33 season, though. Yes. So, his last 2 years, he's been fine, but not God tier the way he was in 24, and that's fine. We will take consistent 3.5, 4 win type seasons. That's going to keep it really solid. Plus, he only played 99 games. I forgot. Actually, he was more kind of peak Ramirez than I'm giving him credit for, because he put up the 3.3 WAR, almost the same WAR that he did last year in 41 fewer games. So yeah, he actually was amazing. Jimenez also missed some time, 119 games for him, but he put up 3 WAR, which is amazing. 12 homers, 25 doubles, 19 for 21 on the bases. I love that efficiency. He's one of our best players. You know, in real life, he got moved off of short with good reason. In our universe, he's got the 65 range. You know, the arm's a little light at 55, but everything else is 65. That's either a top of the scale short second baseman or a very good shortstop. And for the team that we have, we get to use him as a very good shortstop. Sukyung Namgung, number 8 overall prospect, shouldn't be there anymore. I think that's still the old ranking stuck in his profile. As we just looked at the top 10, he was not on there. He graduates, and he graduates with honors. Hell of a season. Combine his AAA and Major League work, and you get 3 WAR, which is pretty good because he did it in 99 total games. Now, of course, you're including AAA WAR there, where he was beating up on a league he was clearly better than. But the bottom line is, he was great for us. He made a nice little impression in the minors, and we're like, this guy's too good to be down there. Came up and didn't miss a beat. Hit 287, 345, 448. Ended up being a 114 WRC plus. Hit 15 doubles in 197 plate appearances. That's almost like a 45 double pace over 600 plate appearances, right? You're just doing easy tripling of that. And that's what we're here for, you know, 80 gap with crazy speed and solid defense too. We've only got a high on him. You know, I got to get that up to very high. So he's still in the mix. Lonnie White Jr. covered him a little bit earlier when we were talking about our upgrade at center field. The beauty with him, 23 years old. Like, that's what really drew me to the fact that we were getting him, was like how young he is. And who did we get for him again? I can't remember. Wait, did we claim him on waivers? No. It was the Valera deal. That's right. This is another one, though. This one, not as much as the Watson one. This one's more like a win-win. The Watson-Lewis is looking... It's at least a little bit of a loss column right now, with Lewis having to kind of catch up. But these two, I think it's just kind of a 1-to-1. I feel really good about both their seasons. And I've talked about this a few different times now with White. It was never that we didn't think Valera could be good. It's just the way that he fit on the team. White was a much better fit. The handedness, White being right-handed versus Valera's left-handed, and the defensive profile. White being a true center fielder, whereas Valera is very much a corner. I love so much of what Valera brings to the table. High adaptability and work ethic, 60 power, 70 eye. Like, this dude could be a monster. But we traded to get somebody who could be a monster too, and the fragility. Valera's fragile and White isn't. So feel good about that deal. And we still have White for quite some time. Heston Kjerstad over in right. Not his best year. After a 3 WAR campaign last year, he was down to 2.2. That's not crazy. That's not like some major fall off. Batting average, everything in the triple slash just went down a little bit. He just wasn't quite as good. Kind of a league average guy. Still a capable defender though. Can play can play center, but he is stretched. Really, really good on the corner. And still just 27 years old. We really, really like him as somebody who can be a primary piece for quite a while. And then our number 1 overall pick, Charlie Condon, living up to it big time. 4 WAR in 605 plate appearances. What a rookie campaign. Could be rookie of the year. 28 homers, 94 ribs and runs, 23 doubles. Brilliant. Just brilliant, and still so much more to come. He will be in the dev lab for sure, because for me, I want to have a balance of guys that we want to kind of turn into something. Like, if we can get this one skill to pop off, then all of a sudden they jump from a bench player to a starter, or from a AAA guy to a major leaguer, things like that. You want to have some of those, but I also want to take our guys that are superstar potential and keep working them up. And that's where Condon is, right? He played brilliantly this year, but he's our number 1 overall pick with crazy upside, and we want to tap into the rest of this upside here. So he'll be in there. And then we had Stowers. He fell off from last year. You know, he dropped 40 points off his WRC plus. That's understandable. This is that kind of profile. It's amazing when you get the great seasons, and sometimes it's hard to not have the blinders on, like, because you know that this is what this profile is capable of. You kind of want to think he's arrived. This is who he is. Even though we know that there is a range of outcomes for this profile in every year that they have. And it's a wide range, right? Even your most consistent, strong players still have a pretty decent range of outcomes. But when you're talking about somebody like this, your power strikeout type guys, their range of outcomes is wide. They can be top of the scale hitter, contending for the home run crown, or they can be struggling to hit 200 and just, hitting 15, 20 bombs just because, their power gets them something, but it's kind of an empty 15 to 20. And he was not that this year, by the way. I'm not meaning to imply that for Stowers. He did not fall all the way down to that level. He was probably closer to the top end of his scale in 2025, and then more toward the middle this year. And let's hope that he does not keep that trajectory and go down to the bottom and maybe levels off. I'll take a 110 WRC plus type vibe. The thing of it is, though, he's a strong side platoon guy. He cannot hit lefties, so we really only need to start him against righties. And right now, I don't have a spot for him. With this lineup, with these guys here, he does not have a spot, Kyle Stowers. We'll see if that changes or not, but right now, prospects are not strong. Speaking of, Rocchio doesn't currently have a spot, as I was alluding to earlier. He put up a quality season, and he ended up getting a lot more PT because of the injuries to Ramirez and Jimenez. 121 games after 78 last year, and he acquitted himself well. Now, he did have a lower WAR this year than he did last year, despite more games played, so he wasn't quite as good, but he's still a very capable fill-in that we feel very, very comfortable with putting him into any of the infield spots that might have an injury, even first, right? He's not a prototypical first baseman, but even first, I would put him over there. But second, third, and short, Rocchio is a premier backup. So I will say, I don't look at this situation and think that we have to make a trade. I just don't. I think we kind of see how things go and how the offseason develops. If it works, if there's an obvious move that makes some sense, okay. But I'm not seeking out to trade him just because he looks like some depth right now, Rocchio. And frankly, he is a 60 rating, and Lewis is a 55. So he's technically better than Lewis. I'm going to start Lewis, though. I'm sorry. I'm just going to. At least right now. So we had Stowers, Bo Naylor. I already talked about him. Gabriel Arias, another super sub. He's kind of like a Rocchio light, where the defense is there at every position, even some outfield. But he doesn't really bring nearly as much with the bat. So he really is kind of your perfect bench guy that can kind of just, give everyone a day off when they need it. Not embarrass you. Now, I guess 57 is pretty bad on the WRC plus. I think he can be better than that, but I wonder, he might be the kind of guy that if we dev lab him and it works, that could turn him into something a good bit more than what Arias has been so far. So let's see if we can do that with him. Jose Tena, by the way, I think I said Tena last time because I know the game doesn't show tildes in it, so I assumed a tilde. But he's in the majors right now, and I think when we were playing the Guardians, and I say we because I am a Tigers fan, for those that don't know, I want to say, is he on the Major League roster right now? He's not anymore, but he has played 3 games this year. Did he play against the Tigers? I might be full of shit about who he was playing. Because as I've mentioned before, it was not against Tigers, but I listened to a lot of Guardians games. I love Tom Hamilton, and I've told the story a billion times. Sorry if you've heard it, but my dad and I used to be able to pick up Cleveland radio from Detroit on clear summer nights. So I've loved Tom Hamilton forever, and he's still an amazing announcer. Bottom line is, I heard him pronounce it. It's Tena. There is no tilde, so it's not Tena. It's just Tena. At any rate, he was okay as a fill-in. He didn't really do much, but he did have 0.2 WAR. He was positive. He's kind of like Arias with more bat, less defense, but that same vibe of more of a 24th, 25th, 26th player type. So at the back end of the roster right now, but still just 25, and another guy who might benefit from a dev lab appearance where you can tack on a little extra 5'10" on one of the categories and maybe really turn him into something. So we'll see if there's a spot for him. I don't know. I definitely think I can get Rocchio in, Arias. I think I can definitely get Arias a shot here, just because his defense is so great that he really isn't that far from maybe doing something with the bat if we could just get a little bonus there. Dion Frias is another Tena. Like he's almost a spitting image of Tena. Let's compare them. That is Spider-Man meme as hell, y'all. At least with the bat. I mean, even with the base running, Tena's a bit better, but like they still do the similar stuff. What about defensively? I mean, they are the same. +5 range and error for Frias. Okay, great. But they are the same. They are the same. And then Wilfredo Antunes. Actually, he might have a tilde. Let me find him. Let me find him in the monument. Well, no tilde for him. At least not on BREF. So is it just Antunes? I don't know. That one I'm a little confused on. I'm not sure. Uh-oh. I just had to click over. Have I been on OSA for anybody else? Let me go check real quick. Tena looks similar. Arias actually looks better under OSA. Who else did we look at? Rokio. I think only Antunes was under OSA. I think everything else was okay. Anyway, he was up for like a millisecond. You know how they call it a cup of coffee? When they get like nothing of a sample, I like to call it a sip of espresso. He had 4 games, 3 plate appearances. He had a little sip of espresso. But 24-year-old Antunes, there is a little something here. This is a decent corner outfielder that could actually become something. He's another guy who I think would make some sense in the dev lab. This is another one that's like a project, not even a project, because there is a floor here to work with. This is already a major league corner outfielder, but he's probably more 4th outfielder platoon guy that could be turned into something if we could, I don't know, go for some power maybe. I think that's probably the spot. If he brings the power up to 55, 60, now we're talking. Is that where I want to go with it? He showed out in AAA this year. 2.5 WAR in 110 games, hit 20 homers in just under 400 plate appearances with 18% strikeout rate, 13% walk rate. Really, really nice campaign. So there just was never enough room to really give him a true chance in the majors. So he got the little taste, but that's about it. And then Johnny DeLuca actually didn't log a major league plate appearance this year. And, you know, he can play real defense. The bat isn't a 0, but he really is kind of that hanging on 4th outfielder type right now. Better against lefties, so he's a short side platoon guy. Love the speed content. He really delivers content. What the hell? I don't even know what word I was going for there. The speed content. But he was 19 for 21 on the bases. Andres Jimenez style, which I do. That is good content. In fairness, right? If we're going to be using that phrase to describe base stealing for some reason, then that is pretty good content. But I don't know. He still has an option. He's durable. Like, he's a great guy to have in AAA if he'll stay down there and not be like super pissed about it, you know? So let's see what happens when we send. Let's get off commish mode. BT dubs. And then pop him back down there. And he's not upset about it. Fantastic. I think one, if not both of these, have to go back down, Tena and Frias, because there's just not really room for either right now. You know, I'm looking at something here, and I'm wondering, between Arias, Tena, and Frias, maybe I should move somebody like Arias. His glove is just so much better than theirs. I wish one of Tena or Frias had Arias's glove, because they both have better bats, so of course they'd be better players, right? I'm not saying anything groundbreaking there, but I'm just saying then we could try to trade Arias. I don't think he would bring a ton of stuff back or anything, but he's also out of options, so I think it would make sense from that standpoint. All right, so looking here, I see some green, and I'm always going to look for green right away. And as I know I don't have to give this disclaimer every time, but I do want to be clear for those that are newer to the game. Don't just ignore everybody in the yellow. There are good 45s out there that you could turn into something, right? But I usually give a first sweep to see if there's any green, like is anybody offering somebody that's kind of an above average type profile. And if not, then depending how motivated I am to trade the player, that's when I'll dig into the 45s. So with Arias, at this juncture right now, we don't have to trade him. I'm just testing the waters. So I'm going to sweep for green, and if I don't see any, I just move on. But let's say he was about to cost 10 mil. And so, you know, he's okay, but we really want to move him. Then I'd be digging into all these 45s just to see what's what if none of the green stuck out to me. But let's take a look at some of the green. We got Will Dion, who looks like, you know, a competent back-end starter. He was used out of the bullpen. Oh, that might be why I like him. He was Rule 5'd off of our team. That might be why he jumped out to me. Actually, it was the fact that he was green. I truly don't remember him. So he is on our former prospects, but the name did not jump out until I saw that he was Rule 5'd from us. But yeah, I don't think I would go for him for Arias. I don't know that that really upgrades us. Robert Salinas is another one of ours. This one I did remember. So he went and actually pitched pretty well for them. The whip ran high at 133. That was definitely too high. But a 3.43 ERA is pretty nice. An 11% strikeout minus walk is a little meh. But, you know, he's still just 25, so they might have something there. Wei Hu Pan. Ooh, 70 stuff. Okay, this guy came over from Taiwan at the beginning of 2023. I do not remember this guy. Because this is a real life guy then, right? Because obviously our sim starts in 2024. So this guy came over. Let me see what's going on with him. Who? Is that who? H-U-I? Pan? Yeah, real guy here. And he's in the low minors for Phillies. And only has 8 innings right now. I think he might actually be nicked. So he might actually have a little injury that he's dealing with right now. Yeah, broken pinky. He broke his pinky on in late May. And, you know, that might, like, obviously with the word pinky, it's just a word that doesn't sound like a tough body part, like, oh, I gotta have my pinkies in order. But anything on your hand as a pitcher, I remember when I was young, I used to think like a guy would go on it was called the DL at the time, now the IL, with a blister, and I'd be like, a blister, dude? You can't pitch with a blister? I think you can. And then I realized, like, no, like, the hand is the most important thing for a pitcher. There's anything going on. A broken fingernail will be another one, right? Because you hear broken fingernail, what do you think? Like, oh, when you broke your nail, like when a girl breaks like a long nail or something from, you know, when they grow them out or put the fake ones on. That's what you think of. And you're like, oh, that's so stupid. It's like, no, that makes a ton of sense. And even though I never really pitched seriously, I pitched in a few competitive games, but I was catcher, got to go in and, you know, slop around there toward the end. But even with that very tiny, limited, worthless experience, I know that if anything was going on, you know how in fact, I have this right now. I kind of like ripped the cuticle too far, and it just is an annoyance as hell. But trying to pitch with that, like having any annoyance on your hand, that's a brutal. But anyway, he broke his pinky in real life. An unnecessarily long tangent on that one. But he's kind of interesting. This guy could be a super stopper. This guy I could see for Arias, because he can actually start, because he has 55 stamina. He has amazing stuff. Get him in the lab for a little bit of a control boost. Now, when I say that, I want to be clear that I always know that it might not work. There are no guarantees with that. I'm just saying, like, we would probably try it multiple times. If it didn't work this year, we'd probably try it again next year, right? So I just want to be clear, whenever I reference that, I know it's no guarantee. So even if I'm mapping that out as that this is how this player could work, there's still a chance that it just doesn't work. And then Jake Latz was the other green player here as a 50 rated guy, and he's like a capable back end starter. I guess not that capable. His results have been underwhelming. Probably more middle reliever type, but nothing special. If we were going to do any of these guys in a trade for Arias, it would be Pan. I really think it would Pan and Pan alone. Let's create a trade targets list. I don't think we have one here in this sim, right? Yeah, we have traded gems. So these are the guys that we traded that we know, you know, actually, is Khalil Watson on that? Because he should be, if not. We're going to remedy that if he isn't. Oh, he's on former prospects. No, he should be on traded gems because he's a good player that we traded. I'm going to keep tabs, or I'm just going to keep this guy on a list. Because again, I don't think right now we have to trade Arias. I do think that would be a pretty good deal. I guess the one thing I do need to decide though is whether or not I want to trade him before I put him in the lab. Because you don't want to put him in the lab, and then all of a sudden you trade him, and then you lose that time. And yeah, you can put somebody else in, but then if it's 4 weeks in, they can't do one of the longer ones. So I guess I really do need to decide that. Well, let's go through and figure out who we want to put in, and there might not even be room for Arias. So let's decide that first. The development lab. Dun, dun, dun. Okay, so let's actually go back here. I just realized I didn't go through the pictures. I should probably, for the sake of completion, I should probably do that. I'm all over the map, y'all. I'm sorry. Turns out I need my little checklists. I'll remedy that for the future. All right, so let's go down the rotation here. Let's start with the starters. Sort by innings. Tristan McKenzie was our innings leader. Just an out shy of 190. 356 ERA, 118 whip. Big bounce back season after 2 real dud seasons for us our first 2 years of this campaign. But he finally comes through for us. One of my favorite players in real life, so I'm always rooting for him here. But he's fragile and frankly, just a little sketchy. So we were not really trusting him, especially with that home run issue. But we kind of had to because the price was fair. We figure, hey, let's see what he can do. If we have to put him in the bullpen, then we will. But right now, we're still going to try to trust Tristan McKenzie, and it worked. So now he has a spot in the rotation for at least another year as Henry shakes and decides that he wants to leave. But not yet, buddy. You're going to have to wait. Joey Cantillo, 184 in the third innings, 376, 119. He's really panned out beautifully. I love this guy. One of my favorite prospects. Has been dealing with a lot of injuries in real life for Cleveland, so we'll see if they're able to do anything with him. He's starting to, get up there a little bit in prospect age, too. I guess he'd be, 24 right now? That's not old. I don't want to overstate it. But as the injuries pile up, it could start to be a little bit of an issue, is all. He was pitching in AAA. I think he's working back from an injury himself. He pitched as recently as the 12th. Oh, he pitched yesterday. I'm recording this on the 13th. He had a really nice start yesterday against at the Indianapolis Indians, 5 innings of 1-run ball. So Cantillo's on his way back. Don't be surprised if we see him in the majors later this year. Very interesting prospect. But I had him pan out a bunch in last year's game. With different organizations, and it wasn't always on my team, but just around the sims that I did, Cantillo, either with Cleveland or with another organization, was consistently doing well. So I was excited to see what we could do with him when we had Cleveland. And so far, he's been wonderful. He's probably our ace. I think he's the one I'm most trusting of right now, start to start. B. Woody, Brandon Woodruff is up there, but we haven't had him as long, right? We haven't developed that full trust. He's a more established guy, though, for sure. We got him from Milwaukee, 4.40 ERA, 125 whip. Not bad. Kind of a league average, innings eating type of season. Would have wanted more, but certainly not mad about this. If you get a full season, we traded for him on an expiring deal. When you make a trade like this for a veteran who's on the last year of his deal and getting up there in age a little bit. It was for Espino, that's right. The one thing that you want is the volume. If I can guarantee one thing, it's like, give me 170 innings, 160, right? I won't be greedy. And we got 178. So right there, it's a win. Ends up, because if you pitch 178 innings of just solid quality, you're getting your way to 2 WAR, right? We saw that in his 2025 season. He was even a little bit below average from the ERA plus standpoint, but he got 2 WAR. So at the very least, we're getting that for our $19 million. We'll take it. We'll bid you adieu and say thank you very much for your service, B. Woody. Sonny Gray, we already talked about him with his extension. Didn't pitch quite as well for us. It was fine, though, right? If you look at his last 2 seasons, they're the reverse of B. Woody, where he got a little bit worse with us, but more or less the same guy. And B. Woody got a little bit better with us, but more or less the same guy. And then Kyle Bradish ended the season on fire, ended up being awesome. We brought him back into the rotation after a full year in the bullpen in 2025. He spends 20 starts with us and 18 relief appearances, puts up a brilliant 3.04 ERA, 110 whip. Just excellent work from him. If we have to elevate him maybe to fourth starter, maybe even third right now, because if we take B. Woody out and Sonny Gray out, let's go to these relievers now. And I'm thinking, boy, I don't know if Logan Allen gets the spot. I guess we'll put him in here for now. And then Raylo, maybe get him another opportunity. Yeah, we'll see how that goes. But for a moment, let's put them back in the bullpen so we can talk about their season. All right, so we'll start here with Franco Alamon. We tried the starter gambit with him, and it didn't work, right? That's okay. 17 starts, 5.66 ERA, 153 whip. It went poorly, y'all. Too many homers, too many hits, not enough stranded runners, right? Like nothing was going well. Back into the bullpen for 22 outings, 3.65 ERA, 119 whip, back on track. 19% strikeout minus walk. The homers were still a little bit of a problem at 1.2, but down from 1.6. The hits weren't as plentiful with the BABIP coming down. And the left on base rate was more or less the same, 68.4 to 69.2. We're not gonna say that was much of a change. But all in all, back in the bullpen where he belongs. We tried the gambit with starting. I don't think we'll try it again. I think we accept him as a triple-digit inning reliever, and there's a ton of value in that. Jack Neely, our Rule 5 pickup, what a scoop. Ends up leading the league in games at 73. 102 innings worth of a 3.52 ERA and a 114 whip. Just fantastic. 19% strikeout minus walk. He's a G. Keegan Aiken, brought him over from St. Louis with Sonny, right? Yeah. And Jojo Romero for Chase Shores in a 7th round pick. And what did he do for us? I honestly can't remember. Oh yeah, he was fantastic. We took a bet on the skills, and we hope maybe a couple fewer homers, and maybe the same BABIP would be fine because it was 279. It actually dropped down to 212 with us. So he ends up putting up a 265 ERA and an 083 whip, and we love that for Keegan Aiken. I don't know what his status is. Free agent after the contract expires. There you go. So he'll be a free agent, and I don't think we'll try to bring him back. I mean, he's a 32-year-old lefty reliever. He was great for us, but we'll find the next guy. And then Raylo, 4 starts this year. Didn't go well. Kind of jumped off that train quickly, but he was so bad. Threw him into the bullpen. It got a bit. Oh yeah, we already talked about this with his option as well. Got a little bit better enough that $8 million makes sense. And we'll have him in the rotation right now, but he might be a reliever again next year. Kase, 52 innings, 3.63 ERA, 112 whip, 18 shutdowns, 7 meltdowns. That's kind of light on the shutdowns. Although we were kind of treating him as just the 1-inning, 9th inning closer. Give him fresh 9th innings. Don't worry about bringing him in the hottest spots. So that's probably why he didn't get as many shutdowns, because he wasn't getting as much leverage. Jaime Arias, 2.37 ERA, 107 whip in 49 innings. He was fantastic. The skills did improve too. Now the profile is still light, right? You're talking about a bunch of green and a 45 stuff with a 25 stamina. This should probably not be working as well as it did, but he cut his walk rate down to 6%. If there's some legitimacy to that and he can keep it down, we could have ourselves a nice little lefty here. But I'm going to place the expectations closer to an upper 3s ERA with a 115 type whip, and that would still be fine. Logan Allen, he was starting in the minors, but then fully relief here in the majors and did all right. The whip's still too high. I don't know that I'm super comfortable starting him. Actually, you know what? I think he needs a dev lab spot. We'll put him in the dev lab for sure. And then Cade Smith, huge stuff, 70 stuff. ERA ran a little hot at 3.98, but 117 whip is nice. He was hurt for a bit. I forget with what. Actually, no, he wasn't. Was he in the minors? He was only in the minors for 8 innings, and then 32 in the majors. I guess he just didn't get used a lot because these injuries are tiny. And I don't even know if they're from this area. Mild oblique strain 1 day. That's literally nothing. So I don't know why he pitched so light, such a light workload. That's interesting to me. And then Tim Herron, he did get hurt. That I do remember. Partially torn labrum. He only threw 7 2/3, so we'll see what we got going with him next year. He was great when he pitched, but like, what can you do with that sample? Nothing. And he didn't really pitch much for us in 2025. So he's fallen out of favor a bit. And at the same time, he's 30 years old with a decent profile and extreme ground ball capability. So I'm not out on Tim Herron. We'll just have to see how things kind of shake out. All right, so there's the pitcher look. Now we go to the dev lab to finish up this episode here. And we have to figure out who we want. So I think I want to look from here. I don't know why. It's just going to give me a better look of who I want to put in. And I'm going to type them over here on this Excel. And I think if we go by potential first, and we'll go Condon, I think Lonnie White gets a spot. I wonder, do we try to put Royce in and hope, kind of stabilize him a little bit more so he can kind of maximize? I think so. I think I want to try to improve that eye. Give me that extra 5 eye, and let's get all green at the minimum here. And like I said, you guys know I'm in the bag for him, so I got to do it. I'm going to tentatively put Arias in a spot, but we'll see if that holds. Now let's go over to the pitchers. I'm going to put Logan Allen in. I'm going to see if we can help improve him a little bit, get more confidence in starting him. We'll go with the control since that does have potential. I've been hearing from some of the other YouTube players that you don't want to do a category that doesn't have potential for it, which makes sense, but I thought you could actually like attack a category that doesn't and try to give it more potential. So, but at least we do have one here with the control, and 60 control would be nice. So we will try that for Logan Allen. So that's 5 spots. Who else do we want? Let's sort by potential here. Cantillo is maxed. Alamon still has the BABIP, but I don't think I'm going to send him for that. Raylo's good. T-Mac, Justin McKenzie's good. Neely, it says he has 5 potential movement, but it doesn't say in what, so whatever. Cade Smith, he's fine. Okay, so I don't see any other pitchers there that I'm really trying to push into anything. You guys can let me know if there's anybody there that you would have definitely put in. Let's see what we got going here. You know what? Maybe Tanner Bybee under the same guise of what we said about Logan Allen, where we try to put him in to get more confidence in bringing him back into the fold as a primary piece. He does have low work ethic though. That's the bummer. I forgot about that. And we won't have a new scouting report for 2 weeks. I might still do it, but I do know that that's going to be low probability because of his work ethic or lack thereof. What about this Cade Morris guy? What's he got? He ain't got shit. All right, hitters on this side. Chase DeLauder. Do I want to waste another spot on him again? Do we do one more time? You know what? He's a month into his age 25 year. I think we go one more shot, and if it doesn't work, we stop spending the spots on him. And then what about Mason Hour? I think because this guy could become something. This is another one of these guys. This is very much like Arias, where if you put a little bit of hitting here, maybe get this power up or a little bit more. Well, it says again, 5 contact potential, but it doesn't say whether it's in the BABIP or the avoid K. But whatever it can be, if you add a little bit here, I think he could be a dude. So I'll put Hour on there. So that's 8 spots. And that still includes Gabriel Arias. Let's go back to our major league hitters, because I think I was kind of like keeping spots open just in case. What about Namgung? And we try to get his eye up, because he only walked 6%. If we can get him up to like 8, 9%, yeah, that could be nice. I'm going to put him on too. I mean, we've got spots right now, so let's do it. Namgung it is. What about Rocchio? Okay, now Rocchio doesn't have anything to grow into. This could be a decent test, though, to just try it and see if it does have to be guys that have a potential somewhere, or can you just try to will guys into being better? No, I'm going to give it to Kirstead. Never mind. Once I saw he had potential for something, I'm like, never mind. Let's go with somebody that definitely has an avenue to gain. Okay, I think those are the guys we're going to go with. Tana is still intriguing. I do kind of... You know what I am going to do, though? In the second go-round, when we can do defense base running ones, I'm going to put Frias and Tana in defensive ones. Because their bats, as is, aren't great, but they're not bad. And if they were able to bring an extra dynamic to defense, then we're talking. So, okay, let's go ahead and get these guys in, and we'll call it an episode. I don't know how long it'll be, because I know that some of it's definitely going to be edited down from the time that I can currently see. So with White, we're gonna go for the avoid K. We're just gonna go for that low-hanging fruit. That's 2-strike approach. It's got to be, right? Yeah, that'd be great. All right, there you go, Lonnie. With Namgung, it's gonna be the I, and that's gonna be plate discipline. With Condon, it can be Gap, it could be Babip, it could be I really don't know which one to go. I guess I'll go for the Gap since it has 10 potential. Let's just try that and see if that gives it a better chance. Wait, what? Can he not do it because he's hurt? What the hell? Hang on, we'll come back to that. That's annoying. That's very annoying. I bet that's what it is. And if it is, y'all, I'm just gonna clear this. Like the season's over, right? I don't think that that's sketchy. If you guys think it is, I'm open to the critique, but I really don't think that this is a sketchy thing to take off these extra 4 days. Like, I'm gonna move it to the injury history. I will let it be part of his history, but I think it's done. We'll do 0 and let's move it to his injury history. And there you go. So it's in there. It still affects him. But now can we actually put him in? There we go. Had to be that. Which, okay, I guess that makes logical sense. If you're injured, how can you do a program like this? But come on, it's the end of the year. Don't screw me over like that. All right, so let's hit the Gap. Let's go shopping at the Gap with old Condon. And then go back to Royce. And we said we're going to work on his eye. Play discipline. And then... Kirstead. Let's do the avoid K for Kirstead. I think that could pay more dividends than the Gap power. And then Gabriel Arias. I think we are going to stay committed to him, at least through this, because I do want to try to improve his bat, because this glove is so awesome. And he's still just 26. Like, he's not old. So I'm going to do that, and I'm going to go for the walks. Let's go play discipline with him as well. All right, then Logan Allen. And what did I say for him? The control. Yep. Improve control. And then Tanner Bybee. He was already there. However it was sorted, he was there, and I messed it up. Whatever the sort was, Bybee was showing, and the first sort I did screwed it. There we go. And control for him too, right? Yep. Okay, Mason Hour, Daughter. And I think that's it. Yep, Hour and Daughter. So, Hour, we're going to go for... Let's go for that Pop, I think. Actually, all right, I think this is one where... this might be stupid. Not the best way to start a comment. I know we've had this whole talk here, and if any of you know definitively, and I guess I can ask the devs, I work for the damn game, can you only improve things that have potential? If that's the case, then this is definitely dumb. I don't know that that's 100% the case yet, though. So do I just go for the power, or do I try to improve his avoid K? Dang it. I might just play it safe here. I think I'll play it safe and just go for the bat speed here. But I really do want to know that. Either one is hard, right? Like, they're both in the hard category, 2-strike approach and bat speed. So let's just go for the one that at least does have some potential for power. And then DeLauder, of course, we're going for his power one last time. He's failed this like 52 times already. Twice. All right, there we go. There's our dev lab. So again, I go for guys that, you know, are in the majors or right in AAA there. Yeah, here's the thing too. I might go for more prospects if we had better ones, right? I think the simple fact is, like, who would I reasonably put in the lab right now that we would get a good payoff on? Like, if I put Chris Mann in and he improved, that would still be good, but the dividends from it would not come still for years. Like, it wouldn't push him into the majors still. So I don't think it makes sense to go too deep with it. Like, you know, maybe Liam Peterson, I could see going for his control, even though he's still only in high A. Sure. Even Jeremy Saylor, go for one of his hitting things because he's got this great defensive profile. Those have a case. But these teenagers, I'm just not going to be doing that with the dev lab, at least not right now. If we ever get to a point where we've got that kind of space, or maybe there's a world where as we get deeper into this, we say, okay, we're going to expand it to 15 spots, but 5 of them have to go to guys who are AA and younger or something like that. But anyway, it's been a long episode. We really just kind of set the groundwork for the off season. I don't really know what I'm attacking, though, as far as what we need, except for some pitching. I think we just need some starting pitching. I don't think our offense is perfect, but I don't see a lot of spots to go improve. Maybe we could consolidate some talent. But if you look at our starting lineup, I think it's pretty set with some real backups. Rocchio is a nice backup. Stowers, nice backup. Hell, even Arias, again, I keep raving about his glove. That's a nice backup to have. I think Antunes is going to be a bit upset because I think we're just going to go ahead and send him down right now, because we know it's a long shot for him to make the roster at this juncture. And I kind of like keeping the roster close to what it's going to look like, you know, for opening day, to the best of our knowledge at this juncture. Let's put these guys back in SP. But yeah, let's go ahead and cap it here. So next episode, I will move forward a good bit into the off season. We will start taking care of the arbitration stuff. I'll do all that offline. We're not going to even offer Bieber the QO because, frankly, I don't want him to accept it. Like, this is one of those ones that I'd be way too scared that he would actually accept it. I'll figure out what's going on with these minor leaguers here. And I think we'll probably be closer to, like, the Rule 5. I could have done the awards this episode, but I did a lot with the review and the dev lab. So I'll just do the awards as a review next episode, as opposed to watching them kind of unfold together. So thank you all so much for watching. Peace.